please like our video and subscribe to RotoWire. Then go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast, the Sunday night / Monday morning version, although we're recording a little bit earlier today, so some of you may get it all on Sunday night. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always by Jeff Erickson. Today we have a special guest. Scott Pianowski from Yahoo Sports is joining us. We're doing a special episode. We're doing our 2021 draft targets, our My Guys episode. We're going to go position by position, talk about someone that each of us are really targeting in drafts that we're doing or have done or are doing in the next 10 days or so. If you could please rate review the podcast, it'd be fantastic. It goes a long way towards helping people find the podcast, which is always a good thing for us. Before we really jump into news and notes, jump into our targets, Scott, why don't you introduce yourself, tell people where they can find you on Twitter, where you write, etc., so everybody can find you.
Sure. Scott Pianowski, Yahoo Fantasy, Twitter, Scott_Pianowski. And as you listen to the information we give today, why not you grab another Yahoo team, put this stuff into play if you agree with us or if you disagree with us. And before you know it, we'll have the football game live too. But we just put out some pay leagues for Yahoo about a week ago. So that's something new that people may not be aware of. But I'm only on Twitter about 17 hours a day. So you have to time it right. Working on that,
So let's start on the pitching side. Usually everybody jumps into catcher, first base first. Let's go to closer and reliever. We'll kind of start from the back end and go backwards that way. Scott, who's a closer or reliever? We just talked about how you're not super stressed about save this year, but who's a closer or reliever you're finding yourself targeting when you do take one?
Yeah, I thought Iglesias was going to be Kirby Yates 2019, but he has been priced up by the market. So if I'm going want to shop in that second tier, I'm getting Ryan Presley, who I think is 116 in NFBC ADP. If I'm going cheap, I like Richard Rodriguez at 216, probably the Pirates closer. I really feel like Pete Fairbanks might lead the Rays in saves, and he's outside pick 400. So those are some of the guys I've been looking at.
That's really frightening because I'm going to go Jeff here, but I wrote down two just in case anybody stole any of mine, and you just stole both of mine. So that's a good start right here. Jeff, why don't you talk about what closer you're attacking?
I'm going to show I have Presley written down here for me too. If I wait after 150,
By the way, one thing, Ryan Presley, ADP in the 4 main events is 77 right now.
Oh, so now is that what closer is that? Number closer is that?
I think it was like 5 or 6, but he went, and it wasn't like a random person took him 40th. He went between
the
75.
The market is obviously corrected, much like Iglesias, and this is all the reason the draft earlier, right? That you could have gotten 3 or 4 rounds of value maybe in January that you can't get now.
He went between picks 75 and 79 in all 4 of those. So it wasn't like a rogue outlier took him 35th or something. He was pretty solidly in the start of the 6th round in every draft. It's only 4 drafts, but just it was a funny note that I had him written down too, and I was like, ADP 102 in the last week, 116 over the last month or so. That's that price is gone when you get to some of the non-trading main event leagues.
Well, that's just the thing. Like I pulled up ADP for the last week on all NFBC drafts. By the way, that's 750 drafts in the last week. They are just flying right now. But he's 116 there. But obviously, if that's going to change. Oh, no, actually, you know what?
Yeah. You didn't hit submit.
No, I did it backwards. That's what happened. I was like,
NFBC's doing well, but not quite. 70-50 would be nice. I think it's 90 drafts.
I know exactly what I did actually. I did 314.21 instead of 2021-314. So 88 drafts. Okay, that's a little bit more manageable. All right. Good job, Jeff. Well done. Just outing my ignorance once again. But give me Presley over Karinchak. Give me Presley over Iglesias even. Give me Presley over Diaz if we're going to kind of do it versus other closers. If I get locked out of that, I'm very happy with Brad Hand. I'm happy with Rosenthal. And I'm even happy with Kenley, who I've been watching a lot this spring. So he looks pretty dominant actually again. So at least he did last time I watched him, which I think was Thursday or Friday. I didn't watch him this weekend. But
there's been so many stops and starts with him. I'll admit I'm just scared off Jansen, maybe to my detriment.
Yeah. But I might go with one of those in a main. I've been comfortable waiting. If I do wait, I like Will Smith. I do like Rich Rodriguez also. With Will Smith, the appeal I like about him is twofold. One, the Braves paid for him. Two, he's been a really good pitcher for most of his career, but last year he had COVID, had the late start. I think it's right. You can write off what happened last year to a certain extent. But also, he's easy to back up. You go ahead and you go get Chris Martin later, and he's affordable, and you get both those guys, and I think you're covered. Unlike, for instance, San Diego, which we were talking about, where there's multiple guys. As much as I think Tyler Matzek's a good pitcher, I don't think he's going to close. I don't think they want to use him like that. So I just think that I think Smith and Martin are the two guys that are going to be Atlanta's closers, and it's a good team. You can afford to kind of roster both, and it won't hurt you too much.
Yeah, so you guys took Presley and Rodriguez. That's who I was going to talk about. I love Presley's stuff. I'm a little bit worried about the price going up, but swinging strike rate over 17.5% the last 3 years. All the metrics look really good on him. Is a little bit down last year, but a ton of strikeouts, a ton of swinging misses with a ton of ground balls is just a combo that I like. But since you guys stole my two, I'm going to go ahead and throw out a later one. I'm going to talk about Anthony Bass in Miami. If you look at Anthony Bass's StatCast page, 99% percentile in xWOBA, 99 percentile in xERA last year, 96 percentile x batting average, 98 percentage x slug, 96% barrel rate. Like, one of those guys that was just really good last year. His slider is really good. He had a 52% whiff rate in his slider last year, threw it 39% of the time. I think he's a guy that is going to end up holding that Miami job most of the year. They don't really have. There's nobody behind him that really worries me all that much to take the job. So I think Bass is someone that, as you get to the later end, the last tier, or the bottom 10 of closers, something in there, I think he's someone that is going to end up holding the job.
And he's certainly affordable. I mean, if you miss on him and Donovan Mattingly gets a wild hair, well, it costs you in a 15-teamer. It costs you maybe your 14th, 15th round pick. That's livable, right? It doesn't kill you. In the four main events, 186 to 208 is the range there for him. So pretty solid range already being developed. But yeah, I mean, I like him better. Like, for instance, guys that go in around him are Greg Holland, Rafael Montero. I like him better than Holland for sure. Montero's kind of a toss-up for me because I think Montero's got even less competition than Bass. He goes slightly ahead of Richard Rodriguez. I like Rodriguez better.
Yeah, I probably like Rodriguez a little bit more, but I think Bass is kind of a sneaky name that could end up keeping the job. But
I also could have said Soria, who's going 293. The problem with Soria and with Holland and a lot of the guys from closers on teams that won't be good is that you always worry that they'll put up some saves and then they'll take that to market around the trade deadline and then they won't be closing for the new team. But I can't see why he wouldn't be their closer on opening day.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about his walks last year. Obviously, I watched him a lot in the A's last year. Just one of those guys that every time he came in, I didn't really feel good about it. So that's not not really looking at a metric or a stat or anything. But he just didn't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling whenever he came in, and that always scares me.
Walks to strikeouts are super important. I tweeted today for all the great stats that we have, and Savant's awesome, and Fangraphs is awesome. Walks and strikeouts still tell so much of the story. So if the guy can't find the plate, that doesn't play for anybody in the ninth inning. So that's certainly a concern.
There's nothing worse than a closer. You flip on the game and he walks the first guy. It just makes me turn it off really fast.
Right. Plus, you have the Torey Lovello problem, and he's been kind of flaky the last couple of years, as anybody that's had Archie Bradley on one of their rosters can attest to.
That's a fair point too. What about starting pitcher? We're gonna do two starting pitchers each, one in the top 50, one outside the top 150. Jeff, let's start with you on this one. Who's a guy in the top 150 on the starting pitcher side that you find yourself trying to get?
Well, I drafted him in a league just with you this past week, the Yahoo Friends and Family League. Sandy Alcantara. I get him everywhere.
I had a feeling that was coming.
Yeah, I figured everybody can make a case for a top 20 pitcher. Let's go for someone a little lower here. He's starting to get pushed up a little bit. Of course, his last start will do that for you. Name the opening day starter. I love the increase in velocity. I think that the trends in the K and the walks are going the right direction. He needs to go another step. For him to justify this price, I think he needs to continue to improve the K to walk a little bit, but I think it's there.
Scott, how about you? Who's someone in the top 10 rounds or so that you find yourself really going for in starting pitching?
Yeah, when you mentioned Bass and the Miami bullpen, I almost said we could do a podcast of the Miami staff. Yeah. They have so many power arms that I like, and I just wish they weren't so popular. The overall NFBC ADP on Kyle Hendricks is 83, but if you cut up the last week, it jumps all the way up to 55, and I admit that's pricey, and I get people who might not want to pay that. But I know you can get Kyle Hendricks cheaper in a Yahoo draft, and he's just one of these guys that you're going to get strikeouts because he stays in games. He works deep in games, and you have to get over the fact that he's not a fire-breathing dragon and that a lot of his pitches might be in the 80s. I'm a big believer in Hendricks. If we're going cheaper, almost anybody on the Houston staff who's outside the top 150, I would be fine with. Or Urquidy's around 200. Christian Javier. I thought Jake Odorizzi was a really smart play for them. And then Robbie Ray. I'm talking myself into Robbie Ray, probably to my detriment, probably drive me into a ditch. But what was he gained 4 or 5 miles an hour on his fastball? We know he could strike people out. 277. I'm interested in Robbie Ray too.
I was with you until Robbie Ray. I'm a never Robbie Ray guy. A lot of people are going to say that. Just the walks, man. Just can't handle it. So many games where he gets that pitch count up to like 95 in the 4th inning. You're just like, it's killing me. I just can't do that one.
Yeah, he'll have games where he strikes out 8 guys and he pitches 3 1/3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's in desperate need of an opener, to be honest with you. I'd love to see that. But I mean, I thought you were going to bring up Chris Bassett, because that's another guy you continue.
I almost did. Yeah, very much one of my guys. He's the poor man's Hendricks, right?
Yep. I'm on Team Bassett also, but which means I've been in 2 drafts with you where you've beat me to the punch. So I need to be higher on the team log, I guess, to get him.
I let my dog out Fenway during the salary cap tout wars, and of course Chris Bassett, who I had my eye on, went for $3 when I was out of the room. No. Just let your dog stay inside during your salary cap draft.
Yep. You can always clean up the mess.
Right, but I can't get Chris Bassett back, so.
I don't think you're going to be disappointed by letting Chris Bassett go at the end of the day, to be honest.
Why?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't. I watched.
You don't follow the A's that closely, so I don't care what you think.
Yeah, I just.
Practically on this team roster.
I think he's fine at the price. He's just not someone that I'm really aggressively targeting. Strikeout rate's fine. I felt like last year there were just a lot of spots where he kind of escaped and should have gotten hit harder than he did. And I don't know. I'm just, I don't know. I wish I could get a little bit more on board. I really liked him last year at the price when he was going almost for free, but I haven't found myself targeting him this year. I just, I don't get the great feeling about him, but I don't think he'll hurt you.
He was a 381, he was a 381, 119 guy the previous year. If he's that, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think that if you're okay with that, I think you'll be fine then. I think that people hoping for him to be 2020 are going to be disappointed. But if you're okay with 3.8, I think you might be fine there.
Yeah,
All I want with Bassett, excuse me, Jeff. All I want with Bassett is him to be playable. Him to be okay. I'm pitching him short of they're in Colorado or in some horrible place to pitch. I'll pitch him everywhere else. I think he's going to have a mid. I would say what are my expectations? I don't know, 3.63, 120. Something like that, with the chance of maybe being a little bit better than that, with a good defense behind him and a team that could maybe call itself the best team in that division. And look at some of the opponents, the Rangers. Look at their lineup recently, just awful. I'm just asking him to be somebody who I can trust more often than not in a deep mixed league.
And home ballpark and infield defense is something that really helps you there too, because between Olsen, Anderson and Chapman, they got a lot of really good infielders, really high level infielders. So that does help a little bit too.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And I just like he kind of altered his pitch mix a little bit last year, and it seemed like he just was fine tuning. He seems like another guy that consistently beats FIP, beats the projection systems. I don't know. I've got him. I probably have him too low of an ERA. I've got him as low 3s. I probably need to bump that a little higher just for. Yeah, it's good to have a reality check a little bit there. So maybe I will just adjust that. But I'm still pretty high on him. Other guys I have that frequent flyers on my rosters that are plus 150 guys. I also have Urquidy a lot. I also have Zach Eflin a lot. And finally, Domingo Germán I've been really warming up to lately. Go figure after his spring training so far.
So my top 50 guy, I'm probably not surprising me here, is sticking in Miami, is actually Sixto Sanchez. I love watching the dude pitch. I love somebody that can throw 98, but also has command and control. A young guy too. Like if you see some of these young guys come up and they throw gas and they can't throw strikes. He was a 7% walk rate guy last year. He was under 5% in 2019 in the minors. His changeup is really good. I love a guy with a great changeup. It gave up a 148 slug last year, 28% whiff rate. I just think he's a guy that the stuff is all there, and I think with another year further with kind of some pitch mix stuff, I think the strikeout rate's going to go up. It was only 20.9% last year, but 12.8% swing strike rate. I think the strikeouts are coming, and he's just one of those guys. You turn on and watch him pitch, and he can just shut people down.
I love him so much, and the problem is it seems like every room I get into is a Sixto Sanchez Appreciation Society, and having that changeup. The great thing about the changeup is it's a way to get the opposite-handed guys out.
Yep.
And so he doesn't have to worry. You don't worry about him getting murdered in platoon splits. I think his upside is like top 3 Cy Young. I think he's that good. I I want to find the room that doesn't like him because I'm waiting to draft this guy and I can't get my hands on him to the point that sometimes you get in that last draft of the season, you're just like, screw it. I'm just getting some of the guys I've missed out on. He'll be one of my FOMO. I'll be in a draft and I'll FOMO pick him around early just because I don't want to be shut out.
You're going to just sign up for one more draft just so you can get Sixto Sanchez.
Right, yeah. And then I'll name my team Sixto Lezcano and hope they don't catch him.
There you go. Are you worried at all? Either of you guys worried at all about the reports that they might manage his workload a little bit more than the other Marlins starters?
Look, all baseball's managed right now, right? How many guys do we know are going to throw 190 innings? I don't worry about that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a factor, but I think it's already factored into his price. I think that if that weren't that concerns, he'd be a lot higher. His ADP is about 133 or so, so I think it's kind of factored in. So yeah, I'm worried about a little bit. I think he'll miss some starts. I think they'll skip stuff. They're talking about him maybe not pitching the first couple of weeks as he kind of ramps up, and they don't need a fifth starter. But I don't know. I think that you give me 145, 150 innings, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Agreed.
My deeper shot guy is Yusei Kikuchi in Seattle. Terrible surface numbers last year, 5.17 ERA, but a 3.3 FIP. He had a really bad strand rate, but I just like the gains he made. He gained 2.5 miles on his fastball. The ground ball rate jumped up to 52%. K rate jumped up 8%. Swing strike rate jumped up 4%. You're gonna be a guy that gonna miss bats and get a ground ball rate over 50%. I love anybody like that, especially in Seattle. I think the surface numbers are keeping him a little bit low. His price has moved up a little bit, as a lot of people have talked about him, but ADP is still in like the 250s, 260s, 270s, somewhere in there. And at that point in the draft, I don't really care about ADP. I'm just going to grab the guys I like. The slider whiff rate went up. He's just someone that I think to take the next step this year.
Yeah,
I like it. I've found myself drafting more and more Mariners as the season has gone along. I'm not sure how to reconcile that, but yeah, you're looking for plausible upside. Where Kikuchi goes, you're just looking for to tell yourself a story that he could prove a player you trust. And if he's not, you wind up benching or cutting him. So I certainly see the upside with him.
Yeah, and I actually did a thing we do these video casts with VEASAN every once in a while, and I was doing futures comments, and I said, if you want to throw I think there's a really high odds, bet to win the division. And, it's really obviously you're taking a long shot, but I like the Mariners because I think teams that have like loads of prospects, they tend to get there quicker than you think. Plus, no offense to Scott's A's, but the A's and the Astros didn't do a lot to improve this offseason. I think the gap narrows a little bit. I think it's getting priced appropriately. Most of these long shot bets that you get, you don't get good odds, but the Mariners odds actually got higher after the whole Kevin Mather story came out. That it went from 25 to 1 to 26 to 1. It's like, well, okay, I would take that extra if I were. No, I don't really do too much of that futures betting, or any really. But I was put to the test. Like, I was asked to say, okay, which long shot do you like? And I just like guys that organizations that have tons of young prospects like Kelenic, Rodriguez, Logan Gilbert, Noe Marte. They got all these good young guys. If they get the playing time, if they kind of coagulate, it could really take off. I like Kikuchi a lot. The swing and miss is already there. He's in better condition this year. I think it's a great pick. I've rostered him many times. And
again, look at the division. The Texas lineup is horrible.
Yeah.
I think the Angels have like a good half and a bad half of the lineup. There are some dead spots in the Oakland lineup, and Houston is more of like an 85, 87 win team now rather than the juggernaut that they've been. I mean, I know that it looks really good when Kyle Tucker's hitting 7th, but I don't feel like this is the best version of Houston either. So this AL West division could be a really good place to have pitchers.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, Jeff. I think you're probably a year early, which obviously you probably know, but I mean, they won't be. I don't think they'll be 26 to 1 in the division next year. Put it that way.
I would definitely take the over. I don't know what their win. I should look up what their wins, over under is, because I think that's the way to play it instead of the division. But I'm just saying, if you're looking for a real long shot, that's the long shot I like.
I never draft prospects in our keeper league that we did today, and we ended up with Kelenic, which is, and people couldn't believe it. Like, wow, Pianow and Gleason took Kelenic, because we're always trying to win now. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to watch a lot of Mariners games. I have a lot of guys on their team.
Was this a draft or a salary cap league?
It was it's a keeper league draft.
Okay, where
Jeff,
did you get him?
Good.
Not that early, like maybe 16th or 17th round, where there's a ton of good players capped 13 teams.
Wow, good for you.
The fun thing was that people kept trying to draft him after we got him. They didn't realize he was gone, and they're like, "Oh, who took him?" And then we draft fewer prospects than anybody in this league. We always play for today, And so I'm excited about Kalenic. I will be following with much gusto what he does. And you mentioned Seattle's over-under win total. According to one book, I see 72.5.
I was going to say, I just looked it up. It was 71.5. So you were right, right in the right range. Yeah.
Please like our video and subscribe to RotoWire. Then go to rotowire.com/pod for a free 10-day trial.